So what would happen if copyright is abolished? Without a copyright system in place, would the creation of art cease, and would everything collapse and get destroyed? Would everything get ruined? Would the world fall apart? No, probably not. The fact is that there are people who want art to be made. People want to experience art, and there are people who want to make art. As long as both of those two exist, the people who want to make art and the people who want to experience the art, there will be art made and people will be watching the art. So I don't think it's reasonable to think that the creation of art would cease. Some people might make the argument that if the artists wouldn't get paid with copyright in place, then no, why would anyone create art if they don't get paid? If someone makes such an argument, well, there are many ways that is wrong. But I would like to say that I argue that the artist would still get paid, could still get paid, and there are many ways to achieve that too. One example is very much the fact that there are people who really just want the art to be made. You see, in the form of crowdfunding, works can get made, and purely out of donations alone, art can be made. And I have examples of this, or rather, I'm not gonna point to specific examples, but the examples are so numerous that you can go and find them yourself. There are YouTubers who make YouTube videos as a career, basically. They get money in the form of donations. There are those donation platforms. I'm not gonna name any one of them, but you just go and find some popular YouTuber, and they have these subscription things where the viewers donate money to them, and they can basically live off of that. So there's no need to So where is the need to restrict what people can do with art if the artists get paid just as well with donations? See, the fact is, the people, they can watch those YouTube videos without paying the creator. Most of the viewers don't pay anything, and yet some still choose to do so. Well, that clearly demonstrates that there are people who are both capable and willing to do such a thing as pay the artists, despite not having to do so. So, if there is a viewer of a YouTube video who doesn't want to pay, they can still watch the video. And then if there's a viewer who feels like they might want to pay, then they can do so. And then the artist gets money. And also, those YouTubers examples, they don't need to be necessarily artists or whatever. It doesn't really matter what they are classified as. They might as well be artists. Who cares? The fact that it works for them shows that such a thing is possible. And also, the idea that art wouldn't get made is absurd beyond belief, because the people who really want the art to be made, there are people who want the art to be really... There are people who really want the art to be made. So they will pay for the art. If you really want something to be made and you pay for the art to be made, then there are some people who pay and some people who don't. Then the ones who don't, they still benefit from the art, they still get the art. So if there's an art that is... that if a creator is at risk of not being able to make an art because not enough people pay for it, well, then the art just doesn't get made. And then the people who really want that art to be made, then they don't get the art they really want. So what do you do when you really want that art and the creator can't really make the art anymore because they don't have enough money? Well, then you give them the money. If you really want the art to be made, then you give the creator the money. So basically, it basically creates this scenario where the people who want that content the most will be the ones who pay for it. and then the rest of the people just benefit off of it after the art has been made. That's very much possibly enough for many scenarios and circumstances. And of course, this is just one of the many methods that there could be monetary compensation for artists for doing the artwork. This is one possible way that artists could fund their creative endeavors. But there are other proposals. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into them too much necessarily, but well, actually, let me think for a moment. Now, if you want to criticize this idea of mine by saying something like, well, what if there really is no one who wants to pay for the art? What if there really is no one who wants to donate money? And everyone just watches some YouTube video without paying and no one donates. Well, this scenario is actually not at all different from just having art that's copyrighted and no one wants to pay for it. You could just as well have an artist who makes a bunch of art that no one likes and then no one pays for it. How about that scenario then? Copyright doesn't solve that problem. If there's art that people don't like, if people don't like some art, then they just don't pay for it, and that's that. Regardless of whether there's copyright or not, it's a little different. It's not different at all, actually. The only difference is that, at least without the copyright system in place, people are still allowed to use it for something else. They can still create derivative works that might be perhaps better in some ways. So at least some use would be coming from those arts that are not necessarily liked all that much. And also the fact is, regardless of whether or not there is a copyright system in place or not, even with copyright system, people can still watch the things without paying. You can still watch movies without paying either way. So, really the argument is basically, for the most part actually, to a point it's invalid to say that the copyright system itself would have any such benefit, because it really is just a donation system already. It's just a donation system where there is a punishment if you are caught not donating. But what if you're not caught? Then it's just donation that you don't have to do. It's basically not that different. It's just removing the punishment, and yet people still choose to pay. That is curious, isn't it?